Okay, everyone, now we're going to talk about another relatively new topic that a lot of people like for reporting purposes, and that is conditional formatting. And this is relatively new, like I said. I think it's in 2010 they just started this, so very nice feature though. So what I'm going to do here is so your conditional formatting is running the first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything in the salaries column here and do conditional formatting. And then here you have a lot of choices. You can make your own rule from scratch. You can clear your existing rules. You can manage your rules means, hey, I want to see what rules are currently existing on there. Rules is going to be, so you can use, so one thing I'm going to do is I'll do a highlight. This is probably one of the most easy ones to figure out. So I'm going to say, hey, highlight anything that is equal to, let's say $30,000. And it's going to highlight it there. And sure, you can change this to different colors and whatever you want, but see how it just took my data and changed it to $30,000? Now that does not affect the formatting. See, I can't change this to any different color. I can't change this back to yellow because the conditional formatting overrides all other formatting. Okay? And if I change this to $30,000 up here, oops, if I put the right number in there, then see that also changes. So this will not go away unless you go in here and actually change the conditional formatting. So let me undo that. Okay, I have to actually clear my rules. Highlight this one more time. Conditional formatting, highlight anything greater than, anything greater than, let's say, $10,000. All right, and everybody's over $10,000. Bad example. $20,000. So there it is again, highlights it for you. It'll constantly be dynamic and change. All right, so I canceled that. I didn't hit OK because I'm going to go through a bunch of these. And you could do highlight. You could top 10, bottom 10. You can do a lot of different things. I'll let you guys play around with it. You can highlight if it contains a text. So if you're looking at someone's name and hey, anytime this guy's name comes up like Mike, hey, that troublesome guy named Mike, always getting into trouble. So let's highlight him every time he's on the spreadsheet. Okay, maybe this is a discipline list. So data bars, this is nice to have. So what this is, data bars is going to be, let's just make it blue right now. So what this is it's going to show you, see how it, so what it's going to do is the largest of its data set is going to be a full bar across. Think of it as a bar graph. And if you're looking at a chart, it's like a bar graph. See, the 19,000 is the lowest. I'm sorry, 15,000 is the lowest. And see, it's the smallest bar. So it's kind of nice when you're printing and stuff. You don't want to be like, I don't want to look for the biggest and the highest and lowest. So this way, it's on there as a nice, like a graphical representation. So nice to have. So I'm going to undo that, and then you can do data bars, different colors. You can do solid instead of faint. It's fading away. So these are solid and the ending of them. Color scales, very similar, except that it highlights higher as green and the lowest value as red. So kind of think of this as like if you're using it, like let's say how much money you made this, for by month or something. And this is all by month information. So green would be the month you did the best for sales, and red would be the months that you maybe were negative or were lower than the average. Now keep in mind, this keeps shifting. Once I change these dollars, so this $48,000 is green. If I were to make this go to, let's say, 200,000, see, these all just shifted because they're all relative, to each other. And just in this list that I highlighted. Okay. So very nice, constantly changes. So it's kind of nice when I'm looking at stuff on a spreadsheet and I say, hey, I want to see anytime a product has larger than normal sales, and when I say larger than normal, let's say it's more than $50,000 in a year. So I want to see that pop. When I look year over year over year, anything with a $50,000 or more, I want to highlight it. So it's easy for me to find and pop out. And again, it's all about efficiency. Don't waste time searching for stuff. And icon sets, I personally hate this. Let me know if you guys in the comments have had any use for this. Everybody that I've ever seen use this, and it's only a few examples, hates it. So this will basically do the same thing as the color scales. and you can do color scales. If you don't want green and red, you can do your own. But so icon set, so this would be like your increasing. So you can play around with all these different ones, but arrows is probably the easiest one. I was gonna say I've seen people do smiley faces. So you can do smiley faces, happy face if it's in a higher sales, higher number. And then if it's the lower number or one of the lowest numbers, it'll be a sad face. So that's very similar to these other ones, just a different layout and how you want to see it. So this will be an arrow net. Kind of nice, but let me know if you guys have ever used it and have liked it. I'd love to hear from you guys. Find out some actual good uses for that. Okay, so now we are going to talk about printing the area. So let's say I wanted to show this to my manager, or to a different employee, and hey, I don't want to show them how much bonus they make. I don't want to show them salary because maybe bonus is different for different people. Maybe it's not always 10%, even though in my spreadsheet it is just about. So if I went to print right now, looked at my print preview, this is what it looks like. So it's going to show everything and some stuff down below, which I have not talked about in this video. I've talked about it in prior videos. So what I can do is I can highlight only this data here. I'm not going to highlight my bonus. And then I'm going to go to page layout here, print area, and then set print area. And now when I hit my print preview, see what happens? I don't have any of that crap on the bottom, and bonus is not showing. Now if you wanted to undo that, you go back to print area and clear print area. It only keeps one print area at a time, so I can, if I wanted to only print these, these ones, set print area, look at it, it's only going to print whatever I show. So not very nice to have. And one thing I recommend when you're printing stuff for managers, don't show them extra stuff that they don't need to see. And very important to show them how to keep it all on one page. So it prints very nicely. Which is also a nice prelude. So now we're going to talk to the next topic. Next topic is going to be it's going to be page setup. So you see this little on page layout here, page setup, very important to have. So when I click this down arrow, this is going to bring up a page setup window. And what this is going to do is, so if I leave it like this, here's what it's going to be. I'm going to hit print preview here. So it's going to look like this. It's going to go up and down. What this is, if you wanted to change it to say, I want this document going sideways, you hit landscape now. So don't worry, I'm not going to go through one by one on every single one of these, but so very nice to use that. I always do a fit to one page. So right now, in case the data, went to 2 pages, or maybe you're doing a resumes for jobs, they usually you don't want to see more than 1 page unless you have a lot of great work experience. So you want to keep this to 1 page. So fit this to 1 page. One page here, 1 page here. So then you can play around with this stuff. You need legal size, but I'm sure most of you won't for what we're using it for. If you wanted to change your margins, that's the next tab. So if you wanted to shrink your margins and have more landscape, so see this, that'll change. I don't have any width on the side now, so you can change all that to get more room on your page when you're printing. Header and footer. If you want to add headers and footers, you can. You can call it page 1. So it automatically do the page numbering for you. So it's pretty nice. Same thing with the footer if you want a footer on the bottom. So you can do customs, you can do whatever you want down here. So you can play around with that. It's nice to have. And then print area. So if I had my print area set, this would be populated, or I can do it here and say, hey, here's my data from before. I don't want to show my bonus. Click back in here, and there's my range. So it's only going to print that. See, if I go to print preview, there you go. Okay, one more thing about printing. So if you look at the bottom right here, you have see where it says normal, and then if you hover over this, it says page layout and page break preview down here. And I think you can probably get to it through the page layout or the view also. Yeah, under the view tab, you see normal, page break preview, page layout, custom views. So what this is so instead of looking at it like this, if I hit page break preview, this is what it looks like. So it's multiple. It's going to show you, let me make this bigger. So this is what it's going to look like when you're working in page break preview mode. And you could work just like normal if you want to start typing stuff. You can type whatever you want. You can actually work like this. So what this does is says, hey, this is the end of page 1. And it's going to have a little line saying, hey, here's the end of page 1 and here's page 2. Now, if you wanted to change it, you can take this little blue dotted line and you can, let's say you want to move it up. So here's now where page 2 starts. For some reason, if you wanted to, split it in half and make it 20 rows on each page, just so one page isn't much smaller than the next page. So this is an option. You can also, if I went like this and changed the side columns, so this is the only thing that's going to print right now. This whole inside here, this will not print if I have it like this in page preview. So, but for this example, just wanted to show you that you can modify and insert page break previews or insert page breaks anywhere you really want to. So if I wanted to say here's page 1 and I'm scrolling down, this is page 2. Let's say, hey, on page 2, I'm gonna in between these two Whitneys, I'm gonna right click on the row 51, and I'm gonna say insert page break. See what just happened? It inserted this line right there. So I'm gonna say, hey, I want another page. So now I have page 1, it's real big right now, page 2, and then I have page 3. And if I can just keep going, insert page break, insert page break. So this is how it looks. So here's page 1, has a lot. Page 2 only has a little bit we selected. Page 3 has less, and page 4 has even less. So that's page break preview. Any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And as always, make sure you guys are telling me which things you like, which things you use, which things you don't use. If you know some tricks that I didn't mention, make sure you tell me. I love learning things, and we can make this YouTube video even better. Although it doesn't need to get longer, I can tell you that, right guys? Printing. So let's say I'm looking at this data here, and I'm just going to shrink it down just for simplicity reasons. I don't need all this extra data. So one last thing, we're talking about printing. So see how this shows first name and last name separately here? So what I mean by separately is, so watch what happens if I wanted to make it 2 different lines. So first name, I know some of you are familiar with how to wrap text. So if I hit this wrap text button while I'm on A3 and I shrink it down, see what happens? It looks like it went away, but realistically, I'm gonna change the row height of row 2. So now see what happened? Row 2 now is above each other. So the first is on the first line and the name below it. So this is what wrapping text actually does for you. However, the best way to do it when you're printing, because let me show you an example. So right now, if I look at the print preview, first name is just like it was before. If I go, sorry, that was my cat who loves to mess around on my computer. If I have it, let's say this close, first name looks like it appears properly, right? However, depending on how much stuff you're showing, let me just try and get this to work like I want it to. Clear my print preview. All right, printing everything. So first name is there, and sometimes, so even though I wrapped it, so right here, here's my example. So even though I wrapped the text and said, hey, you know, go longer, it's only gonna wrap if it needs to. So if I wanted to always wrap right here on when I print it out, one thing I can do that it's a very useful trick that not many people know is in between first and name, wherever I want it to drop down a row, hit Alt and the Enter button. And now, see it wraps the text, but it's not really wrapping text. So it's actually above and below it. It's a little different than wrapping text. But this button does have to be checked, but it will check it for you. So here's an example. I'll do it with last name. I'll hit Alt, Enter, wrap text just automatically pops on. So, but you can keep it real small, or you can make it real big, and see when I print, now it's correct, meaning it's above and below each other. So very nice thing to use. I know it's especially for presentations, because sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't, and you can insert a third line by hitting Alt Enter again. So very nice to have. And if you wanted to expand this little drop down here so you could see the whole formula bar, so you could, there you go, you could see its last name, because if you just click on it and you weren't, all you'll see is where's my little thing, all you'll see is name if you clicked on this, or last, that's all you see. So just drop this down on the right, and now you'll see the full last name. Easy to work with like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is how to protect your sheet. So one of the things you may want to do in the future is modify or share a spreadsheet like this with some coworkers or someone else. And the problem is there's some sensitive information like salary and bonus on here, so you don't want them to be able to change this. If you send this to someone, let's say you send it to Jeff Milner, you don't want him giving himself, instead of making $48,000, I'm going to send it to, I'm going to give myself $100,000. So you don't want to do that. So we're going to undo that. So what we're going to do here is go through and figure out how to protect your sheet and your information that you want as locked. So basically it'll be like kind of like a read-only wherever you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into highlight the cells that you're okay with them changing. Maybe you wanted them to verify, let's say you wanted them to verify department number. So if this is wrong, then you want them to change it. So I'll just highlight it for the heck of it. And then we'll go back to review. And, before I go to review, I want to right click on this department numbers. And I'm going to go to protection under format cells. I'm going to unclick the locked. Hit OK. Now go to protect sheet. And we're going to type in a password of Mike. Realistically, you don't need a password, but I mean, again, in real life situation, why would you lock a sheet without a password? So realistically, all they would have to do is go back and hit unprotect sheet, and then it's basically like not having a password to begin with. So now if they wanted to type in here, they can type in anything they want right here, but they can't click and change your salary. See how it comes up with, hey, this is password protected. You cannot do that. Can't type in here. Can't type in anywhere over here. Can't do anything anywhere except for the cells that you physically unlocked until you hit this unprotect. So this is nice to have. And if let's say you had a formula in here in the salary. Let's say you had $48,000. It really wasn't just 48. Let's say it was $45,000 plus $3,000 because you're planning on giving them a $3,000 salary. If you don't want them to see a $3,000 increase, so let's say you didn't want them to see this formula, one thing you can do is when you go to unprotect type in your password again. And now I go to protect again. And I'm going to type in my password again. And what we do is we want to unselect this box here. So we don't want to give them the privilege or allow them to select locked cells, because everything that's locked, we don't even want them to be able to click on it. So just to avoid any questions or whatever. And you can do the same thing down here with all that. You can play around with all these other things you want. So we're fine with them selecting the unlocked cells, obviously, because that's what they're going to change. So we want to leave that checked, or we're going to leave this unchecked here. So now, type in the password one more time. Yes, you can tell how much of a pain this is going to be, right? But it works. So now, if I tried to click, let's say I wanted to click on this $48,000 here, I can't even click on it, see? And I can't even, I'm using a right arrow right now. Right arrow, left arrow, it doesn't even go, it's just going up or down because I can't click anywhere else on the whole page except for department, column C, just so I have unlocked. So it's pretty nice. Let me know what you guys think of this. You may not use it depending on what your area is of expertise of what you're working in. You're working with, sensitive information that may come in handy. All right, and next thing we're going to talk about real briefly is how to record and assign macros. So let's say I wanted to, let me get rid of this sheet because I don't want anything protected or any issues here. So let's make a new sheet. All right, make a new one. All right, so I have this information in front of me. And what I'm going to do is so first of all, you need this developer tab. If you don't have this developer tab up on top, you're going to be in trouble. So you want to go to this very top left, you want to hit File, and then go to Options. And then I think it's under Customize Ribbon. Yeah, Customize Ribbon. That's where you're going to check this developer so you can play around with the stuff up in here. So like recording and assigning and stuff like that. Okay. So let's say our macro is going to be, let me delete this bonus. Formula here real quick. Equals sum of this. So it's going to be a running, we'll say it's a running balance of salary, excuse me. All right, so what I'm going to essentially do is I'm going to drag this down just like that and get rid of this garbage. I don't want this here. Okay, so now if I wanted to take a formula now and so what I want to do is I want to record a macro, and the macro is basically just going to be what I just did right there. I want this formula to constantly update, and here's what it's going to do. I'm just going to show you how I physically do it manually, and this is just how to do the macro. So I'm going to hit record macro. Macro name will be we'll call it balance. And shortcut key. Now this is going to be a little tricky. So you don't want it to be any common shortcut that you use, like Control C. They use that for cutting. Control V for pasting. You don't want to do any normal one that you use. So one that I know I don't use is Control K. So I'll use K. And if I hit Shift here, that'll also, so if I do Shift K, it'll change to Control and Shift. So you can pretty much do anything you want in there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it as Control K, just to be simple. And I only want it in this workbook. You can check back at it later. All right, and now you see this little button up there under developer, and then it says stop recording. This is where it said before, but now it says stop recording. So right now it's recording, but it's only going to record either keystrokes or mouse clicks. So it's not going to record time. So unless I move physically on the screen, it's not going to do anything. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the time or anything. So what I want to do is I want to type in equals sum, and then do my same formula, close parentheses, hit enter, and copy down. And then I'm going to click back here, and then I'm going to click, because that's where I want the mouse to be just for the heck of it. And then I'm going to hit stop recording. So now let me delete that and show you what that does. Control K, where my cursor was. And that is what the macro just did. And now what I can do is I can even be fancier if I wanted to. And I can say, let's see, where's my button here? So insert, yes. So insert form controls is what, under developer insert. So let's just say I wanted to insert a button here. Call it macro. Oh, this is your macro name. So I'm gonna click balance here. So now whenever someone hits this button, you know, I can name this, double click and run balance. Run balancing. Sure, and that's gonna be my macro. So I click that button, and this will run my number for me, so I don't have to hit Control K anymore. So pretty nice, right? There it is. And if I right click, you can go to assign macro, something else. So this is how you do it if you have other macros that you wanted to assign, because different things. So pretty nice thing to do, right? This is how to do it. This is the very basics of macros. There's a lot of different things you can do in here. The problem with this is, this is not the best way. If you actually ask people who write macros from scratch, and trust me, I am not one of those that write them from scratch. I can modify them and mess with them and stuff, or figure out what they're doing, but I'm not the programming type of person. So what you want to do, if you want to go and look at it and see what the code is, you hit Alt F11. Excel, this is the Visual Basic side, so the programming side. And your macro will actually be in here under modules. See my cursor on the left here? I know it's pretty small, sorry about that. So this is your macro. Anything with a little apostrophe, I guess it's an apostrophe, and where it says green, like text, like they call them like commented out. So you don't have to look up, you don't have to care about that. This is just purely text. I can type in anything I want in here. This is just basically for, you know, description purposes or whatever. Like this was my description, my running balance. Remember, I wrote that in under description. And like I said, I could add to it if I want. I could type in whatever I want back here, and it really won't matter. It doesn't affect it. The only thing that matters is what it's actually doing over here. If you actually know what you're doing, meaning like the programming, the VBA guys, you know, they can look at this and be like, hey, there's a lot of crap in here that you really don't need. Like anytime it does this like active cells, I don't need that. You know, so a lot of these things you don't need, like this active window, small scroll. That's when I went up and down, you know, using your scroll on your mouse here. Just let me show you, going like this, up and down, right? You know, Excel doesn't need that, but it's doing it anyways because you physically did it. So it's recording your macro. So realistically, it doesn't need a lot of these. So the only thing it really needs is, hey, select this. You know, anytime it's like select or copy paste, stuff like that, that's the stuff it actually really needs. So if I wanted to and make it run it quicker, I would delete these. So I would just take this and, oops, excuse me. I'd take this and get rid of it, you know, if I really wanted to edit it. But this, I mean, it's so quick already, but you know, that's just one last thing about macros. And then you can save it here. Oh, you want to, and let me exit out, it'll save. And that will do it for you. So this is the very basics on macros. Not usually used too much in Excel, in my opinion. I guess it depends on what you're doing. If you guys are writing macros, I'd be curious to know what you guys are actually using them for in Excel, versus like doing certain things in Access, which seems to be better from my experience. Alright, next thing I'm going to talk about is charts. So if I want to make a chart, best way to do it is I'm going to make a real simple one. There's a lot to do on charts. You can check out my individual video on charts where I go more in depth, but we're just going to get real basic today. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my department and salary is all I'm going to put a chart on real quick. So here's my list of departments. I want to make it unique. So data, remove duplicates. If you haven't seen this earlier, go check out my video from earlier, alright? And here I'm going to do a quick sum if. Come on. Department is, so my range is going to be here. I'm going to lock that. We'll get into locking next in a minute. My keyboard doesn't seem to be working very well. Alright, criteria is going to be this guy. And my sum range is going to be this guy here. So it's going to give me a salary sum for each my department. Okay, and this is going to be salary. Actually, it's more like total salary, right? What we like to see it. And I'll do a format painter here. If I'm doing anything special that you guys didn't see, like, whoa, he's doing that so quick. You didn't look at my this whole length video. Well, I know it's over an hour, and nobody likes to see everything over an hour, but hey, you know, I broke it out in piece by piece so you guys can check out any little bits of information you do or don't want to see. So everything I'm doing here is all explained somewhere in this video. So check back, guys. Alright, so and you see what I did here? I'm working so fast and talking, see? I did not lock my second part. No, that's not good. That's why these are blanks, guys. See, troubleshooting in action. And as much as I'd like to say I did that on purpose, yes, I did that on purpose. No, not really. Alright, so there we go. That looks better, right? Okay, so if I sum this, I got 447. It should be 447. Alright. Now, if I want to do a chart on this, I just highlight, and it does, you can do recommended charts. Now I'll go to all charts. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select, I like, so line chart, line graph, you can do this. That's what it's going to look like if you did. So if you highlight over it, it'll just show you what it's going to be like. I like bar graphs, you can do pie charts, anything you really want. I like columns. Bars, they technically, the way they call bar graphs is going sideways. I don't like that. I still call this a bar graph. So this is what I want. I want this guy. So hit OK on this. I want it all the same. Alright. So this is the basics on how to make a chart. Let me make this a little bit smaller so everybody can see this whole thing. Alright, so here it is here. And you can move it any way you want, just click and drag. Or you can move it to a new sheet if you want. That's what I probably recommend. Unless you're going to move it way to the right. Alright, like that. That works. So there's my total salary. Now if you really wanted to make it look pretty, just go to formatting over here. And then you go to, actually, format over here. And you can change it. You can put a little box around it. You can make it colorful. Sorry, this is so slow, everybody. We got a big storm going right here in Chicagoland. So, but this is just example, so you can, you know, make it real pretty. You can pretty much do whatever you want. One of the ones I usually use is, let's see, which one? I think it's, you don't want, because one of the things you don't want, if you're printing it, either black and white or color, it works well. So this works pretty good. And if you wanted to, you can type in here and change total salary. You can change anything you want. You can right click in here. You can change, if you don't want to see 160,000, you only want to see 160, and then you could add column. You know, this is your columns here, and basically your rows, I guess you'd call it. So you can change both of these as far as what you want to label them on. You could label it. You go to I don't want to go too much into this because this video is already too long, but definitely check out my charts video. You can see how to modify the title, modify the colors of, you know, the colors of your bars, your lines, how to add a secondary axis so you can actually have a bar graph like this,
and also have lines going across it, maybe which says like growth percentage or something like that. So, and thank you, Tiger. Thank you, Tiger, for getting in my way. Hope everybody liked that impromptu cat video. All right, so if you have any more questions on that, definitely make sure you check out my charts, because that'll tell you how to add legends, how to add everything you want, names up and down, names left and right, so you know what these actually are. Because if you have zero, I don't even know what this is. Just because I know the data, I know this is department numbers, but no one else is going to know this unless they're really familiar with the data. Okay, everyone, now we're going to talk about tables. So essentially, in my opinion, a table, the only difference a table makes versus just having data just like this, which is basically just a data set, is that you can basically sorts it. You could sort it easier and basically puts like an auto filter on it. It kind of pretties it up, almost making it like a little pivot table, essentially. So if you want to, much of this can be real quick. Quickest topic yet. I know everybody's excited about that. So go to Insert. You can click anywhere in here, or you can highlight your whole table. Doesn't really matter. I like to just click anywhere in here because I like to be efficient and quick. All right, and go Insert Table, and it'll select this whole range for me, bottom. And Tiger loves to make an appearance. Thanks everybody. That's my cat. Loves to say hello. And hit OK here. And there we go. So as you hit OK, you got the nice pretty, they call this banding, where they do every other row a different color. So if you don't want that, you just click this, and then, you know, so some like it, some don't. You guys can hear that thunder. It is definitely coming down hard out here in Chicagoland. All right, and then you can change, you go to Design tab upon here, and then you can change the layout, how you want it to look. You know, you can play around with whatever you like, whatever looks the best to you guys. This is kind of cool. We'll use this for now. All right, so this is pretty much all it is. All it is tables. It's just kind of prettying it up, to be honest, and it's adding an auto filter up here. So, you know, if I wanted to click this and say, okay, sort this way, it's all, everything's already grouped together already. It already knows that this data here is grouped. So you don't have to go to data and sort and do this, and you know, it's just quicker. But I guess in my opinion, I never really needed it, because if I'm gonna make it pretty, I'm gonna probably keep it in a pivot table or something like that. But again, I guess there's pros and cons. You know, let me know if you guys use tables a lot, and let me know what you guys think. Give me some reasons why you guys are doing that versus not. Is it mainly for presentations or what? Speak out, guys. Speak out. The last topic we're going to talk about real quick is going to be cell referencing. So here is some sample data that I have here. It should be very common by now. Everybody should know this data because I've been spending well over an hour talking about this. So here's what I want to do. So I'm going to type in equals sum, and then I'm going to highlight these two. And by now, hopefully you know what a sum is. Otherwise, you haven't been watching any of my videos. So here, what I want to do is so right now these cells don't have any locking on them. And when I say locking, meaning there's no dollar signs in front of these. Like right now, this is locked. This is not locked. There's no dollar signs. When you see dollar signs, that means whoever's writing the formula, purposely put locks, cell locks in it, so that when they're messing with the formulas, copying down, copying sideways, copying somewhere, they did it to save themselves some time, and mainly save themselves some time. So if I drag this down, because nothing's locked, this meaning D3 and E3, this will can continuously go down. So see what's highlighted here? When I double click and go inside the formula, it highlights this properly. When I go here, so the difference between here and here goes from row 3 to row 4 to row 5. It's going to keep going down. And when I move it to the right, now it's going and dragging both across. So now when you look at this one, it's D to E, so it's D and E. when you drag it to the right, everything moves over accordingly because nothing is locked. So it's now taking E and F. So obviously I don't want that, but I just want to show you guys for an example. So you will need to know how to use this. So if I lock this, let me just show you the difference. If I hit, how you lock it is also by hitting F4. So now if I lock this, no matter if I copy it down or not, it ain't gonna move. So I still have the same 55. So even though I click down here and look at the formula, it's saying, hey, you're still looking at the first one. And same thing if I copy to the right. If I copy to the right, nothing's still gonna move. It's still looking at the same section here. Because it says, hey, you want me to lock D and 3 and the E and 3. You want to lock all of this. Now, let me undo that puppy. Alright, undo one more time. And now, you can lock multiple different ways. So you can lock so just within D3, I can lock, so I'm going to hit F4. This is put a $ in front of the D and in front of the 3. So because there's a $ in front of the D, that means it's going to lock D, just D. So it's going to lock just that one column. And then a $ in front of the 3 shows that it's going to lock only the third row. So it's only looking at the third row. And then the same thing if you can lock, like I said, this will work if you hit enter, and it'll work right now, but it'll only lock D3. When you want that, sometimes you won't, sometimes you will. So, so right now, what this example would give me is I'm locking D, but the rows I'm not locking anything. So this will always be D. E will change, so you can change multiple different ways depending on what you want. I would say majority of the time you'll probably have a full lock on both because you're probably doing VLOOKUPs most of the time. So you'll probably hit F4 on this and get $ and $ on this guy. You can either have to hit F4. You can actually just type them in if you want. You can type in a $, or if you want to just toggle between it, in between. I'm somewhere in this E3 expression over here. So anywhere over here, you just hit F4. And then hit F4 again, and it just toggles between all the different. So you got one choice, 2 choice, 3 choices, or 4 choices. None, meaning the 4th choice of cell reference locking. Okay. And one other thing now I want to discuss would be a very cool thing that I'm sorry, but if you do not have Excel 2016, you will not have the access to do it. So. But it is a very nice feature that they just made. So let me do a quick concatenate here. So what I'm going to do is Smith here. That's what we want. So let's say these are your first and last names now, and we'll get into concatenation later. I have a video on that, so make sure you check that out. Or check out the later part of this video. So what I want to do is, let's say I did not have this data here. I only had this concatenation section. First and last name here. So one thing that's new in 2016 of Excel is I'm just going to start typing in Smith. I'm going to start typing in their last name. Any other way of getting just their last names out here. So I'm going to type in Smith. And now I'm going to type in Payne. As soon as I type in P, you see what just happened? See all these things that popped up? Excel now, again, 2016 only or newer, just figured out a way to autofill for you by basically pattern recognition. So as soon as it recognizes it, just hit enter and boom, look at that. It just took all these last names because it recognizes that pattern. It says, hey, it looks like it usually, I believe it always looks at the column to the left for reference too. So, now I'm just going to do one last recap as far as any other things that I may not have covered already. So one thing that I will mention is if you see this little bar down here, if you right click this, you'll have a whole bunch of options that come up here. This is letting you know, so mainly I'm going to focus on this section down here, average and count, minimum, maximum, sum. So right now, when I highlight, let's just say I highlight a couple numbers here, this is going to count. So I have it set up as average, count, and sum to come up here. You may not have any, or you may have so many that you never even look at it. So what this is a quick way. I love it because I look at this all the time. So without even writing a formula or anything, I can already figure out what the average is. So the average of these cells is $37,200. Count is 5. Another way I can figure out count real quick is if I highlight the numbers, and then if you see on the very top left, unfortunately I can't let the mouse go, otherwise it's right up in here. So if you look right here where D7 is, I'm going to highlight. See what says 5R times 1? That means 5 rows I selected and 1 column. See if I go over, it's 2 columns. But yeah, so that's 5 rows. That's another way of looking at it. So you can look at the 5 up there or a 5 here and count. And then a sum also does a quick sum, so $186,000. So very nice, very quick way to do things. And you could also add, if I add maximum here, boom, there's my maximum. My max is $46,000. So depending on what you're doing, and you don't want to write formulas like equals max and equals count. So that's one thing that's very nice. And let's see. Merge and center is another one I did not discuss yet. Let's say I wanted to, both of these salaries, salary and bonus, let's just say that this is in, see I didn't do it earlier, so I'll fix that too. So now this is in thousands, and technically both these are in thousands, so I don't want to do this because this looks stupid. To do is instead of doing that, I am going to grab the one on the left and then highlight both rows here, hit merge and center. Now it's showing that clearly both of these are under there. And then I can, select anywhere in here I want. I can select, some kind of box around it. So boom, it'll put this nice box around it. So that's clearly defined that it's these columns here that are in thousands. And guess what? Hey, I didn't put them in thousands yet. Here we go, guys. I hope you guys watched this trick from earlier. So if you didn't watch this earlier, go back and check my paste special, how to change by 1,000 or any other number. So I'm going to change these numbers, all these numbers right here, by 1,000. I'm going to divide by 1,000. Paste special, values, divide, done. Look at that. It's already changed by $1,000. So now my boss is happy because it's all correct. See what I did there? Go back earlier, guys. Go back and check that earlier in the video. I'll have a timestamp for you so you can have to listen to all my other fun topics. All right, wrap text we talked about. If I wanted to have all these, let's say I wanted salary and bonus, I want them, you can less justify them, the right justify, center, all that stuff. This is basically the same thing, except except if you have a real wide column, then this is going up and down, left or right, up or down. So there we go. Let's see, anything else that's major? Forming this table. When we talk about this is the exact same thing as doing insert and table on your data, so really it's the same thing. It's this ribbon, everybody hates it, but unfortunately a few things are nice, that you don't use too often. It's nice to keep them up there. Versus me, I like to have pretty much everything I use on a daily basis right in here in my quick access toolbox. The video at the very beginning of this table, or at the very beginning of this video, excuse me. Let's see, anything on insert real quick. You can insert pictures anywhere you want. One thing that's nice, let's see, where was it? We talked about pivot information, talked about graphs, hyperlinks. I'm trying to think. I think we got most of the things. So margin, we talked about printing, how we did earlier. So if you missed all that, make sure you check that out. If you wanted to see if you were printing something, or even if you're not printing something, but you had a kind of a summary, this is nice because you can see where under page layout you have grid lines. Look grid lines off. Look what just happened. I lost all those boxes. Even though the boxes do not print, unless you specify them as printing, but by default it does not print. So that is kind of nice. Oops. So on and off. See the difference of the boxes. So it's nice. It's nice to have them on unless you're using doing like a summary version of something, or you have a kind of a pretty report that for a boss or something. So it's gonna sum all the way through there. So it's gonna sum all my bonuses. See what the bottom is. So I can't see this 58, and I want to change numbers up here. Let's say I wanted to get this to 60, and I don't know how to really get it to there. So let me just make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. This 60, I want this to get to 60, but I'm going to change a few numbers up and down, and I don't know what my number is. And because I don't want to scroll down after I change a few numbers and say, hey, am I close? Formulas, watch window. So watch window is going to be, I'm going to select this guy here, hit add watch. Okay, select it again. Hit add. So now this box is going to stay up, change something or type something in. This is going to constantly update. So let's say I change this bonus from a 2 to a 1. You can see my number just got to 57 from 58. And remember, I want to be at 60, but you know, because I'm modifying a whole bunch of numbers, so I wanted to move this around. So I still want to be at 60. I'm at 58 again, but I'm modifying numbers. So boom, there I'm at 60, and all my numbers are good. So I know that I don't have to keep scrolling down to see if I'm still at 60. I know this is kind of small, but this is how you do it. You know, I can't make this box any bigger, unfortunately, guys. Sorry about that. But this is the 60. Getting external data would be like going to, if you wanted to go to access, if you have access stuff, usually you use that with a pivot table. Text to columns, all this stuff we talked about here, data validation, all that good stuff. Beautiful stuff. Let's see, grouping, all that stuff we talked about. Spell check, everybody knows what a spell check is, I hope. Works the same through Word and you know, all the office products. Track changes, and share workbook. Share workbook's pretty nice. So what it is if I shared this workbook, you'd have to save it somewhere. It's going to say, hey, allow change by more than one person at a time, and then you can modify with your advanced settings, but I'm not going to go through that. And if you hit OK, then it's going to ask you to save it. And then you save it to some place. Maybe you're working on a server in a LAN at a company, and this way you all can access the same file at the same time. Maybe you have a simple example would be like a call, like an IT customer service. So if everybody's logging to everybody's customer service complaints, and you know they want to keep one master file saying, hey, here's the person that called, here's their incident. Here's how we handled it, and they log it in with their name. Problem is, however many people across the company, you're gonna have all those employees typing in the same place, and each file is gonna be read only. Only one person's in it, and that person's probably just gonna go to lunch and leave the computer open, leave the file open, and the computer's locked, so you can't get at it. Happens to all of us, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit share workbook, and we're gonna do that. This way, this file, everybody can be in there at the same time, assuming you give them the privileges. You can lock out certain people, I believe so. But it's nice because then, let's say you're working through the spreadsheet, and so is someone else. If they made a change once they hit save, then it would show up red, like your whole cell would be red. So you'd see like something like this, it would flash red, and this would flash red if they updated these numbers. They can update whatever pretty much they want. I believe there's some limitations. I want to say you can't delete rows or delete columns, and I don't think you can add a sheet or delete a sheet. I'm sorry, tab. I mean, if I'm working in here and you delete this whole column, then I mean Excel gets confused. It doesn't know what to do, and I don't blame them. So let me undo that real quick. I guess while I'm down there, some people don't know that there's different tabs down here. So you can change this from sample to, just type in whatever you want down there. And if I wanted to add another tab, hit this plus, now it's working completely independent of each other. If I want to right click, you can rename the tab like we just talked about. You can move it or copy it to a new sheet. Here you can go to a brand new book. Protect the sheet, hide. Hide would be, so now I don't even see it. So this is what I do for a lot of reports I do for management. I don't want them to see the data tabs that I got, because they don't need to see the behind the scenes data. All I need is a summary, right? So I'll hide all those garbage sheets that they don't need to see, and only show a summary one, and which I will do a tab color, and I usually do it in red. So this way, if I'm looking at tabs, boom, hey, red's the one to focus on. Maybe sometimes I'll have one in yellow for myself to say, hey, yellow is kind of like a input schedule to me. It's being like, hey, I need to input a number here. And then if you wanted to unhide it, So you go to sheet unhide, and there's my sheet 2 that's already hidden. Okay.
Quick reminder to everybody to make sure that if you know of a better way to be doing things than the what I'm showing here, maybe you know of another trick which maybe I didn't mention. Again, I'm trying to focus on 90% of the Excel work, but if you know a quick little thing that I didn't show or that maybe makes it more efficient than what I'm currently showing, definitely, speak out in the comments. Let me know, because you help me, you help everybody else out too. All right, same time. So thanks for watching.